Well, today, folks, we're going to learn everything there is about menopause and, I guess, learn about the silent things that are happening to our body. My girlfriend Erica is going to share her lived experience going through menopause and what we can do to make life even better. So how's your day going?
It's going great.
Oh, good.
Yeah, Monday is our day that is closed.
Yay.
So
Oh, I know.
do fun things like get together with you for a nice water.
I know. So small world.
Yeah.
I found out that you and Melina are business partners.
Yes,
of
we
Body
are.
Measure.
Mhm.
Yes. And I always wondered about that place. I drive by, but what
Yeah.
exactly do you do there?
So Body Measure. Well, we started Body Measure almost 7 years ago.
Wow.
Melina and I worked on a study at the U of M on aging for a couple of years together. She was running the study and I was the technologist on the study. And we do body composition analysis. That's our number one thing that we do there. It's a metabolic health clinic. Mm-hmm. So we do the DEXA scan, the whole body DEXA scan, which is a very low dose X-ray of your whole body. It looks at your bone density, it looks at your muscle mass, it looks at your internal fat, the visceral fat around your organs, the external fat. Just gives you a whole workup of your body composition. And with that, we can work with you to sort of set goals. Like, do you need to build muscle? Do you need to lose fat? Is your visceral fat high? How's your bone density? So that's how it all started. And we've really grown from there. We have a lot of other technologies. And now we've expanded, and now we have 2 businesses, one being the Menopause Practice, which Annabelle Reimer is also a partner with us. So we're getting very busy. Mm-hmm.
I know it sounds very daunting and kind of invasive, but I know that it isn't the whole process. But it is really important, isn't it, Erica? Especially for women.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah.
So we were talking, obviously, about menopause and how it's kind of the white elephant in the room.
Yes.
What has your experience been like?
Well, I'm right in it, so I'm a good person to be in this business. I'm 56, and I went into menopause at 51. And really, menopause just means we're only in menopause for 24 hours. So
Really?
Yeah. So 1 year post our last period, we're in menopause. And then after that, we're postmenopausal.
Oh, so, boom, just like that.
Yeah, so I am postmenopausal, but that just means that like from here on in, right, your hormones are different, all kinds of different changes happen to your body because of the hormone changes, right? So it's how do we manage those symptoms? How do we manage the effects of menopause on our bodies? Because it's not just hot flashes, right? It's not just mood swings. The loss of estrogen and progesterone and testosterone affect our bodies in so many ways. Brain health, heart health, cardiovascular health, bone density is huge. So many things that are affected that we've kind of just ignored a little bit in the healthcare system, and we've just told women this is just part of getting older. Everyone goes through it. You might suffer a bit, but just suck it up and get through it.
So what have you done, and I guess what's your journey been like through this all?
Yeah, so for me personally, I'm one of those women, so 20% of women will have no physical symptoms that they feel, right? 20% of women will have like severe symptoms. The other 60% are going to range. So there's 20% that are going to have trouble getting out of bed in the morning, and they are, hot flashes, muscle pain, mood swings, just debilitating. Even I had a client the other day who said when she first went into menopause, she was suicidal, like severely suicidal for 3 months. And it was just from change in her hormones. So everyone will have some sort of effect from menopause, but 20% will not really notice. And I was one of those that didn't really notice it that much. So I was kind of, I guess, lucky in a sense. So at 51, I finished my periods, was in menopause, now postmenopausal. This past June, Annabelle Reimer was already working at Body Measure, doing a lot of the stuff we're doing now at the Menopause Clinic. So she did a whole workup on me. even though I'd 5 years out of in postmenopause. And she said, yeah, you know, you really have no hormones at all, like no estrogen, no progesterone, no testosterone, just like, you know, a fraction of what would be considered normal. Now that is normal going into menopause, but as females, we do need testosterone, right? We do need some estrogen in our systems and progesterone. Like we do need some hormones. Anyway, I thought, well, I don't know if I need to go on hormone replacement therapy because I think I feel pretty good, right? But you know what? I'm just going to check my bone density. I'm just going to do a hip and spine DEXA, have one of our technologists do it, and see where my bone density is. Now at 51, I had above normal, amazing bone density because I've been very fit my whole life. I used to teach aerobics, run, you know. I thought, and I had great bone density at 51. Well, in 5 years, I lost 10.8% of my bone density and was in osteopenia.
Which means?
So when we look at bone density, there's normal bone, then there's osteopenia, which is weakening of the bone going towards osteoporosis, and then there's osteoporosis. So in osteoporosis, your bones are fragile. We are at risk of compression fractures in the spine, of breaking our hip, a very dangerous place to be. In osteopenia, we're slowly going towards osteoporosis.
Oh, okay.
Okay, so weakening of the bone, basically.
Yeah. Yeah.
So I went from way above average to weakening of the bone in osteopenia. So I said, Annabelle, yes, put me on the hormones because this is crazy. I'm only 5 years in to postmenopausal.
Yeah.
So I should point out in the first 5 to 7 years post-menopause, we can lose 10 to 20% of our bone density, just like that.
Wow.
And that is from loss of estrogen.
Wow.
So I went on the hormone replacement therapy, and I waited 6 months of being on that. I also did some more impact exercises over those 6 months and sort of focused on bone density. And within 6 months, I'm now in normal bone again. I'm still on the lower end of normal, but I'm in normal. So that's just from introducing estrogen. So that's a silent condition of menopause.
Yeah.
And the thing about bone density loss is something that we don't really think about because we don't feel it.
Yeah.
Okay. So 1 in 3 women will have osteoporosis after the age of 50. 1 in 3. Of those women, 50% will break a bone from osteoporosis. Of those women that break a hip, 33% will die within a year of breaking that hip. So the mortality rate of osteoporosis in women is very high.
It's huge.
Huge. And 70% of those women that break a hip will never regain their mobility that they had before. So we see women in nursing homes because they've broken a hip and no longer can take care of themselves, right?
Yeah.
And then what else goes hand in hand with that is sarcopenia, which is loss of muscle. So that's when you're losing muscle. We lose 10% of our muscle mass every decade after the age of 40 if we are not working on that muscle mass. So by the time we're 70, we can be what's considered sarcopenic. So that means, you know, if I had to get out of this chair, I'd have to use my arms, right? To get it. Or if I fell on the floor, I may not be able to push myself up off the ground.
Right.
So it's just day-to-day activity becomes impossible.
So is there an upside to here?
Yes, there is.
Is there a miracle drug that we can take?
Well, you know what? I'm glad you say that because in actuality, we do not have to deteriorate in our health. We do not have to suffer. We do not have to become weakened. In fact, we can be empowered. We can be empowered through menopause. With the right knowledge, with one way is hormone replacement therapy. Now, that doesn't mean everyone's going to go on hormone replacement therapy, but it is a very good tool. Yeah. Knowing exactly what should we be doing for exercise, what should we be eating, right? So we see a lot of women who want to stay really, really slim, and that's a good thing, right?
Yeah.
But it can be detrimental because we can be losing muscle because all we're doing is cardio, right? And maybe we're trying to not eat that much, so we're not eating enough protein, so we're not being able to maintain our muscle mass or build muscle mass. And then we're too light. So anybody who walks around the earth who's under 132 pounds is at high risk for osteoporosis because
Really?
they don't hit the ground hard enough to stimulate their osteoblast cells to build and maintain bone.
Wow.
So that doesn't mean that everyone needs to be over 132 pounds, but if you are under 132 pounds, we need to really take note of that. Maybe we need to get a weighted vest for walking, a weighted vest for jumping. We need to maybe jump with a weighted medicine ball. We need to get more impact to hit the ground. And that's very key. So we are not told that
No.
by our doctors,
No.
but it's very important.
Wow.
Yeah, so for myself, I've got a weighted vest. I do 30 weighted jumps every day. I make sure that I am hitting the ground hard, right?
Yeah.
Because
So like balls of feet and then heels?
up,
or
jump, hit the ground. Like you want to
plant firmly.
You do, yep. You want to do maybe box jumps in your routine with a weighted vest. So really, it's all about stimulating these cells that build bone, because how our bones work, we have osteoclast cells, we have osteoblast cells. Osteoclasts are always breaking down bone. Osteoblasts are always building bone. So we're constantly remodeling our bone through our whole life. Right? So when we go into menopause and we lose estrogen, we're keeping our osteoclasts sort of in check. When estrogen goes out the door in menopause, osteoclasts kind of have a party, and now they're breaking down more bone than the osteoblasts can keep up with building.
Oh,
And that's what causes low bone density.
wow.
So if we can get a woman into our clinic before they are 60 or 65 even, we can do something, right? So the key ages are 40 to 65. Those are the ages we can do something about your bone density. If we go past that and you are no longer able to maybe get on hormone replacement therapy, or you no longer can do impact jumps because now you've got osteoporosis already and you're at risk for compression fractures, then it's just medications.
Yeah.
Right? So
And that's not always the good thing.
it's not always a good thing. And in Manitoba, we are not allowed to get a bone density scan through Manitoba Health until we're 65, unless there are certain other conditions. But if just a regular woman goes to their doctor and they're 45 and they want to know what their bone density is, they'll say, you don't qualify. So we do it at body measure for the menopause practice. And if we see at 45 that you're low, well, we get you on a program to build that bone.
Yeah.
Right.
Now, will that lessen or make going through menopause easier if you have that higher bone density?
Well, it's going to lower your risk factors for breaking a bone.
Okay. So, but everything else is still sort of.
Yeah, as far as the hot flashes and your
and
mood
everything,
swings and
yeah.
all of that, we'll address that with whatever way we
Separately.
need to address that.
Right.
But the silent issues like bone density are the ones that take your life and debilitate you,
Yeah.
and you don't see it coming.
No.
And that's what I'm on. I personally am on a mission to save women's bones. I am on a mission. I'm an X-ray technologist. That is what I've done. I specialize in DEXA scans. I've got over 30 years experience doing this, and I know that we can save women's bones.
That's so
It's not
important.
inevitable that we're going to get osteoporosis. We can do something.
And then, so how do we change that, being able to say at 45, to be able to get a bone density?
Yeah, you really just have to. I mean, I sound like I'm saying I'm looking for business here, but we're the only place you can do that. I think there might be one other place in Winnipeg that you can get a bone density scan, but
But it's so important. Is there, like, I guess maybe we have to say, talk to your rep in
for
your
sure,
community.
absolutely,
It's got to get in front of the government
yes,
and be part of the healthcare.
yeah. And I think what it is, it's preventative care, and our healthcare system is in a state that we are really not doing preventative care. We are doing reactive care. So if you have an illness, you break a bone, we do something. But there's not really a lot of preventative care in medicine today, and that's why we are here now. Like, we want to help women prevent getting osteoporosis. We want to allow women to feel vital and alive and feel empowered in their postmenopausal years, and you can. You absolutely can. So one of the other things I noticed after I started hormone replacement therapy is my brain clarity. I didn't realize I was having so much brain fog, but that has really helped. And the other thing that I personally noticed is there is something called musculoskeletal syndrome, and that affects 80% of women that go into menopause. So it's like you wake up in the morning and you're stiff, or you're just achy, or like, I don't know why I have to shuffle to the bathroom in the morning. Like, am I getting old? No, that's inflammation caused by loss of estrogen and the change in hormones. So that's also something we can work on.
Wow. And I guess obviously, okay, so you don't have any brain fog and, and you're working on your bone density.
Yes, yeah.
But do you feel different now than you did like 5 years ago?
I do, yeah. I definitely do. I feel more empowered, for sure. I've also changed how I eat, because when we have that change in hormones, we also shift where we store fat. So now, when we started, we were maybe storing fat on our hips. It's centralizing. Women are saying, like, this is the number one thing that I hear. Yeah. Well, I'm all of a sudden getting thicker on the middle, and I did nothing different.
Yeah.
This is a menopausal issue for sure. And when we go into menopause, we do need to shift a little bit how we were eating. And it's not necessarily about how much you are eating, it's what.
Yes.
It's what. And then it's also individualized. So some women have naturally a ton of muscle. Some struggle to build any muscle. Some have always stored centrally. Yeah. Some, we have to look at the individual. So with a DEXA scan, we really see what your body is all about.
Yeah.
We have a dietitian that is amazing. She's not going to give you the counter to food guide, because that is not going to help you. So we're going to look at what you actually need. And I'm telling you, like when I first started having menopause symptoms, I gained like 5 pounds all around my belly. I was like, what is this? This is crazy. And I changed what I was eating, and I lost it right away. And I feel so much better.
So more protein, less carbs, just the usual, stay away from
more
bread.
Protein, lowering carbohydrates, because we want to lower insulin in our bodies, right?
Yes.
So we need to get rid of sugar.
Yeah.
And we need to lower things that turn to glucose, as well as processed foods, because there's so many hidden sugars in processed food, and it's just not real food.
But darn it, they taste good.
Yes, they do. But the funny thing is, and you probably know this, as you start to eat better and healthier, your cravings will go away. You won't be as hungry. You're going to have more steady energy. You're not going to get tired in the afternoon. You're not going to need that nap you used to need. You just start to feel better.
Yeah. Wow. It sounds so complicated, but
it's not complicated.
I know it's
not.
I know.
But
every woman has to and will go through this.
Yes.
And it's just wonderful to be able to talk about it, learn more about it. We think we know, but obviously, number one takeaway from this conversation is get my bone density
Absolutely.
checked.
Yes.
But yeah, just the small things. But I'm so happy though that you've changed your life, and and hey, now we can enjoy life, right? Like,
this is the time. This is
the time.
Our best years, and I say that wholeheartedly. We can thrive in our 50s, 60s, and beyond. We can thrive. We don't have to get old and get weaker and disappear.
Yes.
No. We're here to stay, and we're gonna thrive.
Well, cheers to that.
Cheers.
Thanks. If you want more information or would like to talk to someone, go to menopausepractice.ca.